Hey everyone. So recently I became pretty houseplant obsessed. I discovered houseplants, and my first one was a pothos. I got it from Home Depot. And soon after that, I kind of caught the bug, and in about a month's time, I've accumulated, I don't know, maybe like almost a dozen plants. And my husband is following suit and getting his own as well. So, um, one of the plants I recently got that I'm really intrigued by is the string of hearts plant, or the Carpegio woodii or woodii. I'm not sure how you all say your Latin names, but I did recently track this guy down. They're pretty hard to find in my area, but I did manage to find one at a place called Urban Jungle in Philly. It's a pretty cool little, almost like a plant boutique shop, if you will. But they were, I called around and they were the only ones that had it in stock, remotely close to me. So my husband and I took a drive one day to Philly, picked up the plant. It wasn't cheap, it was about $40, but to me it was worth it because, I mean, if you've seen these plants on Instagram or social media or even in person, you see how beautiful they are, and when they trail and begin to thrive, they just are really stunning. And to me, when they get really long, they almost look like chandeliers. So I just find that really fascinating, and I just find them really beautiful, and I had to have one. So I went ahead and spent the $40. Obviously, I'm determined not to kill this thing. Apparently, it's hard to do, but we'll see. But the purpose of this video, and hopefully more to come, is to almost create like a diary. Almost to kind of create like a diary to see how this guy does over time. So a lot of times I go on Instagram and look at other people's string of hearts and try to see how it's grown, or how much it's grown over time. And it's hard for me to do just by looking at pictures or trying to compare different pictures in a feed. So, every plant story is different. So I figured I would start my own. And, this is the first video of hopefully a long plant life for this guy. So just to give you a little bit of a background, I did buy it about a week ago, like I said, at Urban Jungle. Last Saturday, today's Friday, so almost a week I've had it. I do live in a small little one-bedroom apartment. The best lighting we get in this place is a pretty large north-facing window. So this guy's gonna hang in the north-facing window pretty much all the time. So that's the kind of lighting it's going to get. I do see people say, they have a west-facing window, south-facing window. I do have a south-facing window, but it's very small and it doesn't get good light. So north-facing it is for me for now. I would say it's, most days it's bright indirect sun. Like right now, the sun's out today and we're getting pretty good light in the afternoon. So I would say, that it's like bright indirect sun in a north-facing window. And as far as water, I'm sure if you've researched this plant, you've seen a lot of people say it thrives off neglect. To me, that means, let it completely dry out between watering, which I do plan to do to a degree. So I don't know if you can see this, but this is like a moisture meter. I got this at one of the local plant nurseries by me, and what you do is you just stick it in the soil. I don't know if any of you use this. You stick it in the soil. You can see numbers 1 through 4 on the gauge, and when it's a 4, it means it's super wet. The soil's super wet, and then when it's a 1, it's really dry, and it's probably time to water. So right now, my guy, he was watered a couple days ago, so I'm not going to water him just yet. But yeah, I'm definitely not planning on overwatering this. I did also read that it goes dormant in the winter, and you might even need to water him even less in the winter because he's not actively growing. So yeah, I'm definitely going to use the meter and also let the soil tell me visually when it's time to water it. Like when I got it, the soil was visibly dry, and I knew it was time to water. The other thing I plan on doing, which I haven't seen anyone do, I'm going to measure the strands. So what I did was, I don't know if you can see, 1, 2, 3. These are the 3 longest strands on my plant right now. So what I did was I took a safety pin and I put a piece of tape on each pin and I labeled them. maybe can give you a little bit closer look. So here's strand number 1. This is the longest strand on the plant. Here is strand number 2. This is the second longest strand. And then this is strand number 3. This is the third longest strand. I'm trying to give you, yeah. So strand 1, 2, and 3. I've already measured them. I just used a little measuring tape here. This is kind of like a tailoring measuring tape. It's a little bit, it's not as stiff as like a traditional measuring tape. So what I did was I just measured from the top of the pot. So like here's your 0. Here's your 0 right there. So I just measured like for my first strand, the top of the pot all the way down to the very bottom of the strand, and that's how I'll be measuring. So just to give you an idea, and this is like my first plant update, this is strand number 1, and this strand measures from the top of the pot to the bottom of the strand. This is 11.5 inches long as of today. I think it's October 5th. Yeah, today's October 5th. So strand number 1, 11.5 inches. Strand number 2, 10 3/4 inches, and strand number 3, 10.5 inches. So again, strand number 1, 11.5 inches, 2, 10 3/4 inches, 3, 10.5 inches, and that again is from the top of the pot to the very bottom of the strand. And the last thing I'm going to talk about in this update is propagating. I don't plan on propagating this by cutting any strands anytime soon, just because for me, I can't think of parting with the length of the strands. I mean, part of the appeal to me for this plant is how beautiful, like the longer it gets, the more beautiful it gets. And I'm just not ready to part with these strands yet. But what I did do is, I don't know if you can see, he's getting tangled. I don't know if you can see out here. Actually, no, where is it? Oh, it's on the other side. Let me flip this around. On the other side, I have this guy. So if you can see, he's like a loop. This was the longest strand on the plant. It was even longer than strand number 1. So this was the longest guy. So what I did was I took the bottom of the strand. I'm not going to take it out right now, but I took the bottom of the strand, and I saw a little node peeking out of one of the lower like leaf sets. So I took the bottom of the strand and I just looped it back into the soil, so the node is like kind of in the soil a little bit. It's gently in the soil, and I took a bobby pin and I just kind of like secured it in, and it's also to kind of mark it to let me know where something's in the soil. So I don't know if you'd officially call this propagating it, maybe you would, but my hope is that this node that's looped back into the soil will take to the soil and start to root, and then I can eventually get, once it roots, I can maybe cut this down here and get 2 strands out of 1. Obviously my plan and hope is that this plant could get a little bit fuller for me. So I did see that in another video that you can do that. So I'm just experimenting with that right now. For me, I'd rather do it that way versus cutting the strand and trying to propagate it in water. I don't know. Like I said, I'm new to house plants, and I don't know what kind of thumb I have yet. I don't know if it's green or black, but I just didn't want to cut it, and if I tried to propagate it and it didn't root, then I would lose the length of that strand. So that's one of the reasons I decided to try to do it this way. So that's pretty much it for this video. Again, this was my first update on my new string of hearts. I did order the variegated string of hearts last night online, and that'll probably come next week. So I'm probably going to start a little diary on that one as well. And I also got, I have a thing for hanging plants that trail. Like, I absolutely love them. So I also did pick up a string of bananas. And I think I'm going to do a diary on that one as well. I've been looking at that plant again, I look at my plants every day, and it's hard to tell when you look at something every day if it's growing or not. Or, you know, or to me, they look the same every day. But yeah, so I think I'm going to do the video diary on the string of bananas, and check in with that one as well to see if that one gets any longer for me. So hopefully you found this helpful. If you guys have any tips or constructive feedback or any type of feedback as well, you can definitely leave it in the comments for me. And yeah, I'll check back in about a month or so, and hopefully, I don't know, hopefully it'll be a good report. Okay, thanks.